Today was a special day because I got to visit with my friend Joy and learn more about her past and her family. Fate happened to bring us together this last August, and I immediately saw how she has been clouded in sadness since the loss of her best friend and husband, Phred. One thing we talk about, we are Texas veterans, is we really are being shaped and defined by the people we meet and the community needs. And first thing that kind of came to my mind in our first meeting was the fact we have these people out there that have done a lot for our country. These stories, they need to be told so people understand what they went through, what they fought for, because that generation did help shape what we are today as a country. And it's one of those things that we need to get the word out there, let people know what they've gone through. Phred was a Vietnam veteran that suddenly passed away on February 26, 2018, and his untimely passing has been very difficult on Joy and her family. As we talked about Phred and his experiences, we both realized that the personal challenges he faced from serving his country during Vietnam needed to be shared because others are currently facing the same difficulties he went through. I also learned about an important mission that Joy has, and that is what brought us together today. This is the story of Phred and Joy Phelps.
Back then they have the drafts, when you hit 18 you got to sign up. He had signed up, but he hadn't done all the major paperwork. And he was senior in high school. Bus pulls up, calls him down, a couple others, say, we got to go to Dallas and do the paperwork. They let him out at Fort Polk in Louisiana, and he didn't get to say goodbye to his mom. He didn't get to pack a bag. He didn't get to anything. He was there, and it was ready for boot camp. And that just, I knew they'd draft him, but I figured they'd wait until they were out of school, because he was at the end. They'd already done their senior pictures and everything. So instead of getting an actual high school diploma, they gave him a GED.
How long was he in Vietnam before he got arrested?
A year.
And then he got to go to Australia?
Well, I think you're there like 6 months. I may be mistaken. About 6 months, and then they're allowed an R&R. And he said that when they're out and they're patrolling and doing all that they're out there for so long, and then they get to go to what he called a base camp, and another group would follow in their steps, but he'd give the guys a bit of a rest, because that wasn't always possible, depending on where they were and how much gunfire they were taking. They carry 60-pound bags, packs with them. And he said that one time they were flying in hot shot, where they're being actively shot at. And the helicopter pilot was wanting to have them jump out into the monkey grass. And, and that stuff, there's no telling how high it is sometimes, And he got him down to the grass and says, okay, jump. And Phred said, I don't think so. You need to take it slower, because I will not break my leg jumping out of this helicopter. With all that monkey grass, Phred said that they walked through it, it'd be over his head,
That's where the Agent Orange came through. To get rid of that.
Oh, and hell, he said that stuff was so disgusting that the plants and everything around would just kind of drip with the stuff.
But it was evident though when they sprayed.
Oh, yeah.
You could see the vegetation die off.
Yeah, you could see the vegetation.
When Phred, so as a tunnel rat, his goal is to go down a hole that's dark, and he doesn't know what on the other end is.
Yeah.
So what's the objective? Is to go down there to seal it off, or just to go down there and do try to kill some people and run back out?
Yeah. basically kind of see what they have down there,
And report
you know, report back and, you know, kill whoever they find and everything.
And you mentioned that saying about the rock
Yeah,
and the sticks. How did that go again?
Never go into a tunnel without a rock or a stick in your mouth. And I mean, he said it several times, and I finally, what does that mean? He goes, well, when you're in a firefight down there in close quarters, that helps keep your ears open so your eardrums don't burst, you know? And it was, he said that, you know, saved him so many times that, you know, it was faithful, either stick or a rock, man. And I asked him, I said, well, which did you prefer? And he said, the stick, you know?
Just bite on it?
Yeah, bite on it, and it keeps your mouth totally open, and you won't lose your hearing so bad. The Viet Cong had all kinds of different traps laid out for them, you know, and one of their favorites was to hide a stick that they, you know, whittle down to a point, and then they put feces and all kinds of poisons and stuff in it, and if you weren't careful, you'd step on it, you know, and if you didn't get to the medic quick, you were gonna die. I mean, it was that disgusting. And just trip wires and pits with stakes in it, you know, covered up and everything. And
What stands out about Phred's story is the fact that his closest buddy in Vietnam was an African American. This is during a time that cross-racial friendships were not common and frowned upon in society. This friendship shows that during a time of duress, the social norms do not usually apply. Soldiers that fought together had to overcome their cultural differences and background, and these relationships formed a deep bond between brothers in arms.
So, why did this guy, first combat buddy, mean so much to him? Just connected well?
Yeah, I don't know what the beginning of it was, but, you know, Phred was like 5'8", and this gentleman was 6'2" at least, he said, you know. Not one that'd ever go into a tunnel, wouldn't fit. Mm-hmm. But they just formed a bond, and everyone else thought they didn't like each other. Because, I mean, they'd call each other names, they'd talk shit, you know.
That's when you like
totally not politically correct nowadays. You know, it's cracker this. And,
guys are weird. When we have that kind of bond.
You know,
when we get that bond, that's what I tell people. When I'm really making fun of you, that means I really like you.
Yes, exactly. If I ain't giving you shit, then I don't like you. You know, if I give you a hard time, you know I do. That's exactly how I am.
Hearing Joy talk about how Phred picked up his friend after he was shot and carrying him as they retreated gave me goosebumps. Just think about what type of bond makes someone disregard their own life. And this is why people that have never been in these situations cannot comprehend the bonds that are developed during wartime.
They stayed together while they were fighting because they really trusted each other, and they had each other's back, and he just, I don't know, they just had a bond.
So what happened that day when they got in that firefight?
They'd been chasing this one group of Viet Cong, and I think the Viet Cong got more reinforcements, and just where they were in the hills and the valleys, you know, they didn't seem like they had a lot of cover from the way he said.
Phred did carry his buddy out and he lost him. He knew he was gone.
Yeah.
Did he ever talk about just emotional, because they're likely going to take the body away?
Yeah.
And it's just, then the next day he has to go, or even the next hour he probably has to go back on patrol.
Yeah. They were falling back to kind of regroup in the trees. And, you know, Phred and he were standing there, and he got shot. And, you know, he passed then. But everybody was calling, Phred, come on, come on. And Phred said, I couldn't leave him there. You know, we always try to go back and get him. But I wasn't leaving him there. So, you know, this scrawny little dude picked his ass up and hauled him to the rest. And they were just amazed and asked, how did you do it? And Fred's like, what are you talking about? And they told him that all around him, in the trees and the foliage and everything, there was just bullets, you know, encirculating him. And he didn't know, you know, wasn't his time.
Somebody was watching
You
that
know,
fall.
yeah. And he said there was a few firefights that they really didn't think they'd come out. And you know, Phred said he'd just pray to God, you know, I'll do anything you want me to do, just help me survive this.
Phred carried the loss of his friend for the rest of his life, and the importance of this friendship is why Joy wants to find his family and express the emotional importance he had on Phred. Phred and his comrades were forced to fight for our country on the other side of the world. While this wasn't what most of them wanted, they were able to participate and adapt to the local cultures. Whether it be from food or local custom, these soldiers saw a foreign land and ate delicacies that the majority of Americans had never heard about.
This is really neat. Fold us over there.
As you can imagine, in the time before foodie cultures grew to a global scale, foreign food was pretty intimidating. When Joy told me about Fred's experience eating the local food, I couldn't help but laugh.
He used to get his mom, you know, to send care packages, and all he really wanted was packets of ketchup. He wanted a box of packets of ketchup, you know, the ones you get at the fast food places, not a bottle or anything. He wanted the packets, because some of the stuff that they gave him to eat, that was the only way he could eat it, because there would, you know, it wouldn't taste good. And he said that sometimes that they would go out and eat with the Vietnamese. You know, they'd bring them home, and you know, if you didn't eat what they served you, they, you know, would take offense to it. You know, so he always said he always carried lots of ketchup when he went and did that. He said all the other guys, you know, begged him, you know, please give us some ketchup. You know, get your own mom to send you some, man. These are mine.
I had my aunt. She sent me a case of Red Bull when I was in Iceland. 'Cause I felt
Really? Yeah.
bad. But yeah, in the military,
Yeah.
either ketchup or salt.
Yeah.
It gives you flavor.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
For many veterans, the toughest battles they will face is not the ones they physically fought, but the ones they will mentally fight.
And his first kill, he said afterwards, you know, it was like, you know, you shouldn't have done that, but he would have killed me. But, you know, back and forth trying to deal with taking a life, you know. And he really had a hard time. And then he said, and with each killjoy, it got easier.
You hear that a lot.
And it scared me. And when he came home, he said he had a whole lot of rage, just completely filled with rage.
Post-traumatic stress disorder has only recently been brought to the forefront as a mental health crisis for our veterans, but the threat and symptoms it brings have always been present. Some veterans do not come back with any exterior wounds, but are suffering from mental anguish over the experiences they were exposed to while fighting for our country.
When Phred went to get his disability stuff, because he walked point, the psychologist there asked him, was there anything that'll send you right back? And he looked at smell of marijuana, you know, because he said that anytime he smelt it, he knew they were near.
The hidden scars our veterans gain throughout their career will change their mentality, and how does one handle the fact that they may see themselves differently when they look in the mirror? Those same scars present themselves in the most mundane and subtle ways to the public eye. However, these subtle clues are important for others to be aware of, because the veteran may seem okay on the outside, but on the inside they are fighting to overcome the crippling effect of desperation, remorse, and loneliness.
But when he was having that one procedure done, and they wanted to put that ball gag in his mouth, put the camera down inside to check his heart, because he had AFib, and they needed to see from the back to make sure the heart was good so they could do the procedure on him. And after 3-4 hours, you know, this lady comes out, calls me, and here I am thinking, you know, okay, they're finally done. How's he doing, you know? And she's like, man, we haven't even started yet. You need to come down here and calm this man down and get him to let us do this. And I said, well, what are you trying to do? And, well, we need to put the camera in there. And, you know, they got to put that ball gag in it. And it's like, man, lady, you are nuts. This guy is so claustrophobic. He's a Vietnam veteran. He was a tunnel rat. And you ain't going to get him to do it, you know? And she goes, no, you need to talk him into it. You need to talk him in. And we went in the room, and he was there in the middle, and you could see these eyes just, you know, looking over at me, and I'm just laughing. So he's wondering why I'm laughing. And so the doctor says, well, get him calm. I said, no, y'all need to just pack up, because he's not going to let you do it unless you put him out. You know, if you put him to sleep, you'll be able to do it. If you don't put him to sleep, there's no way in hell you're going to get that in him.
The stories Joy told me about Phred and how he coped with his PTSD really struck my heart, because today's world will never be without violence. It will require others to step forward and stand the watch of guarding our country. However, what we can do is take action to support our veterans as they try to integrate back into the civilian world. After one has served their country, they face the reality of having to integrate themselves back into a civilian world that is different than the one they were previously a part of. This is not easy for some because of the traumatic experiences they went through while serving. Those traumas will continue to manifest within a veteran until something triggers the release of all that aggression. Phred was able to fight off those aggressions by talking to others about what he experienced and by doing hobbies that calmed his soul. For those who are currently going through these struggles, just know that you are not alone, and while it may seem hard to ask for help, you may be amazed by the support you will get once you do. At the end of the day, we had the honor of visiting Phred at his resting place in the Dallas-Fort Worth National Cemetery. As we looked around at the other veteran tombstones, it brought about a sad reminder that our veterans from the Korean and Vietnam Wars are passing away at an unprecedented rate. And as these veterans pass, we lose the opportunity to hear their stories. It is important to not let that happen, because current and future veterans will find some resemblance to their own struggle in these stories, and that can be the help they need in understanding that they are not alone and that others have gone through these difficulty times as well. The visit to see Phred was a somber moment for us all, and as tears rolled down Joy's eyes, I could see the drive in her to help us tell the story about who Phred was and how he lived. She still feels Phred's presence around her. From all of us at We Are Texas Veterans, we would like to thank you for joining us. Our continuing mission is to be a living resource for our veterans through our websites and programs just like this. Their stories matter deeply to our nation and will bring healing and change to those who fought to protect us. If you're interested in supporting to continue our mission, we can be reached through the provided channels. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. We Are Texas Veterans would like to personally thank Yves from OR Media Group for his time and dedication to making this documentary possible. We also want to thank Robert and Melinda from the 6 Days of Impossible Challenge, because their help and guidance on spreading the Journey Beyond documentary has been instrumental. And finally, I want to tell my wife Renita that I love her and I appreciate her patience with me as we worked on this documentary. Thank you for watching, and please share Joy's mission.